In terms of longevity, I think we can't rule out that it's already happened.
What does longevity escape velocity really look like to you?
I think it's actually going to not be very noticeable.
I see it as being much more of a grand shift. But even just the idea.
Well, I'll challenge you on
Please
that.
do, yeah.
Okay, so
Longevity escape velocity might have already happened. Tell us about that.
well, basically, I mean, it's a frequently asked question, and my point is that it may have already happened. We can't rule out that it's already happened. And the reason we can't rule it out is that things like life expectancy vary tremendously from geographical location to location, from person to person and time to time. And so actually you're doing kind of a smoothing function. And so you might have a big jump followed by a plateau. In any case, we're only asking for a year of advance in science per year. And that's something that's way below the noise level of measurements. And in fact, of all the medical exploration that we do and things that we get clinical trials for and so forth that get approved by the FDA, longevity is probably one of the hardest ones to prove and to measure even. And that's why most of the work that my companies and I do is focused on aging reversal or reversal of age-related diseases rather than longevity or health span or youth span, whatever you want to call it, because all of those things require decades to measure, and most investors and scientists don't want to wait decades to declare victory or to even get feedback. The faster the feedback loop, the better your science is going to be. And clinical trials are going faster than ever. So it used to be 10, 12 years was kind of standard fare, but we now have cases like baby KJ where from birth and diagnosis to cure, including FDA approval, was 7 months. And I think that will increasingly be the rule rather than the exception, because we're getting AI and other methods are helping us reduce toxicity and improve efficacy, and the FDA is just getting more confidence that we can bring out radically new drugs and preventatives that have a good safety profiles. It's not necessarily 12 years nor 7 months, but I think it's tending towards shorter and better trials.
What does longevity escape velocity really look like to you from a societal perspective, from a philosophical perspective?
I think it's actually going to not be very noticeable in the same sense that people don't go around talking about how much better their education is than it used to be, or they don't talk about, how much faster the cars are than they were in, the early 1900s. These sort of things, they don't talk about how they have the world. I mean, occasionally they do, but for the most part, we take for granted that we have all the world's knowledge in our hands, in our cell phones. We take this stuff for granted very quickly. And, I think a lot of the things we think will go wrong or go exceptionally right tend to be smoothed out. They don't tend to be quite as extreme as the movies will make them.
So many institutions have been built on death, though. When it comes to longevity escape velocity, I see it as being much more of a grand shift, because we think of, I'm just going to think off the top of my head, like the insurance industry, pensions, banking, just there's so many systemic changes that have to happen as people live longer. Even just the idea.
Well, I'll challenge you on that.
Please do, yeah.
Okay, so let's say I know privately that I'm going to live an extra year this year, and next year I know the same thing. And why would the insurance company change my insurance, right? Especially when it's not, as Gibson would say, the future is here, it's just not evenly distributed. The insurance company is just going to shift very subtly. Each year it'll shift its expectations a little bit, might change its premiums a little bit, but nobody's going to notice. I think the biggest thing that could happen in insurance, but they don't quite get it yet, is protecting us against severe Mendelian diseases. This is something where they could get 100-fold return on investment within 2 years, which is kind of their magic number. If they can't get it back in 2 years, then they're worried that all their people are going to, and this is mainly U.S. insurance companies, that people are going to go to another insurance company, which I think is kind of a fake dilemma. But anyway, even if you believe it, they could get a 100-fold return on investment in 2 years because, by proper genetic counseling. But in terms of longevity, I think, first of all, people are still going to die because they're going to do foolish things, or they're like driving cars that kills 1 million people a year right there.
But only 10%, as you said, 90% of people die from age-related diseases,
so,
which is still quite a...
Yeah. Yeah. But we don't know, even if 90% are currently dying of age-related diseases, doesn't mean that it won't change to 90% dying of car wrecks and violence pretty quickly. In the same sense, right now, 13% of people die of cancer. But if you completely eliminated cancer, it would buy us an extra 2 years, and then that 13% would disappear into other diseases. So I think the same thing will happen with longevity, is we'll die of something else.
How come you said longevity escape velocities, you predicted it as 2050 recently?
I don't remember that, but basically you can pick any year, right?
Yeah.
Because if it's already happened, it will still be true in 2050, hopefully. It won't reverse itself. But 1 year per year is such a subtle change. Like I say, it's lost to the noise. So it's going to be a broad delivery. It's not going to be like the atomic bomb on Hiroshima. It's going to be spread out.
Thanks for watching this Beyond Tomorrow clip. If you haven't subscribed yet to our main channel, join us there for conversations that can help you thrive today and flourish tomorrow. We'll see you next time.